Hey guys, audio check. Can everyone hear me right now? Is that better? I apologize. I had an audio issue. It showed my audio was working, but it definitely was not. Is that better, Peter? Can you hear me now? Okay. So no one could hear a word I was saying before, correct? It was totally dead. Okay. Let me see if I can fix this here real quick. Give me 2 seconds because that means hold on 1 second. That means that this audio broadcast this appears to be working. It's the other one that is not. Okay, well, I'm going to trust that it's working. And so let me cover what I was saying before quickly. Actually, let me go reverse, and I'll say it after the open. I'll cover what I just said. Let's get to the critical parts. Let me get this going here real quick so I can show you my other computer screen. 70. I was saying is you should hear a lot less clicking. Greg suggested I get a quiet keyboard. I got a quiet keyboard, so hopefully there's a lot less tapping. Okay, let's go to ES first and cover the critical areas, okay? Okay, most important part on this chart. If we cannot trade below 28.40.75, that's the points of control from yesterday. If we cannot get below 28.40.75, there is no decent short, right? The only way to get a move to test back into this area back over here is to get underneath 28.40.75, right? We're currently trading 28.47 1/4, right? And just because we trade below 28.40.75, that is totally frustrating. Hold on 1 second here. Okay, thank you. I appreciate it, Alex. Thank you very much. So the only way to get in to test this TPO point of control and this volume point of control, right, is to get underneath 28.40.75. It's a great checklist point on your checklist when you're trying to push a short. If you get a short from up here, okay, there's nothing wrong with going, hey, I'm going to swing it short, and I have a good entry, and I'm managing the stop. And if it extends down and gets underneath 28.40, just know you're going to have traders, right? Unless we just blast this area, they're going to respond from that 28.40.75, right? Secondly, Globex low came in right at value area low. Traders are going to trade that 28.37 1/4. They are going to look to respond back up. Next, we are going to find responsive buyers in that 28.25 to 28.27. Why? It's a 20-point rotation down from where we're trading right now, and we're in an aggressive bull market, right? Looking at areas below that specifically need to be filled in. Outside of the test of the naked TPO point of control, there's a naked volume point of control relative to today, right? And then there's this what I'll call a low volume node right here that needs to get repaired right in there. Those are your 3 most likely areas. If you're looking for a big swing back up, these are the areas that are going to provide you with your response, right? So in order to test the 28.27 down to 28.19 area, you have to get below 28.40.75. If we get down into this area, we are likely to be one timing to the downside. You'll want to check up on your 30-minute chart, right? You'll want to check up on your 30-minute chart that we are no longer one timing to the downside, or vice versa. If you're trying to short, you want to make at least sure that on your short that you've at least stopped one timing to the upside. It doesn't guarantee a roll to the downside, but it lets you know that the strongest of buyers at least taking a breather, right? And as Ron is so apt to point out, that breather will often come over lunch. This is why that's important. This stopping of the one timing over lunch on a true trend day up. Let me go back here. Where do we have a true trend day up? I think this was maybe here. Okay, see how we don't stop one timing to the upside really from the open all the way up. See how we can't trade below until the very end of the day? That is a great safety net if you're someone who likes to short on the way up, to let you know, hey, this shorting is not a great idea until we stop the one timing to the upside, right? And often when that one timing stops over New York lunch for 1 or 2 periods, it's a pause and a continuation higher. So those are the 2 rules around one timing to the upside. So for today, we already know, just keep it simple, right? We're opening above 28.40.75. What do I expect? Expect buyers to push. Why? That's all they've been doing all the way through, fighting it or logicking or going through some logical exercise to try to find why they're going to sell it. I don't know why that would work today when it hasn't worked on any other day. So any shorts that I take above 28.4075, I will be pretty focused on covering pretty or relatively quickly, right? That'll be my entire focus. Hold on 1 second here. Okay, there we go. Okay. That'll be my entire focus. Underneath 28.4075, if I get hooked up with a short position, I will try to push it, but I will also be trying to push longs from extensions below there back into that 28.4075 because we generally just don't turn around and flop on our heads. It can happen, but we'll identify it. So let's clarify that really quick. What will open drive lower look like, right? So we're gapping up. And actually, instead of doing that, I'll show you. Let me minimize this. There we go. We had it a few days ago, so I can just go and show it to you. Seems like it was in Never Neverland, right? Where was that? There it is. Okay. We open up. Open drive higher. Classic, right? Gap fill doesn't get filled. Once we are up here, right, the first sign that there's a problem for me with that trend day theory. So again, we don't need any help figuring out. We don't need any help figuring out what the up looks like. It keeps looking up, right? So everyone who's making money just buying shallow dips is making money. I don't have to focus on that. I'll call out where I think there's responsive buyers are going to come in the room, but we don't need much help. We're above VWAP. We're gapping towards the top of the range in ES. We're up 22 on NQ. So I don't have anything magical to tell you about how high the market's going to go because it keeps pushing. All I know is that we are due for a down day. And as we keep going up and up, there's no shorts, right? So you're going to have to rely on cash shorts who need to get long to step in. And they are not as reliable as actual shorts that are underwater. Okay, you got to understand that there's a fear factor involved with covering a position and stepping in quickly, right? Cash shorts feel the pressure from underperforming, but it's January. They know they have a whole 11 more months to make up performance, right? But actual shorts will want to cover quickly. Unfortunately, there probably are not very many actual shorts to step in, right? But here's where the flip side comes. I think people will buy downside protection so quickly if we get a downside rotation that the hedge will force it back up very quickly. So 20 to 30 point rotations at extremes would be my guess. So what does this look like? Number one clue. I'm going to draw this out for you so you have a model for it. See how we come into the 50 retrace and attempt to hold on a true trend day up. We will never, including the first 15 minutes, get back to the 50-60. If we get back, it doesn't invalidate it. But if it closes behind like this, see that? That should not happen. When that happens, right, you are in grave danger that this has at least gone to a balanced day, if not a roll to the downside, right? You will notice the gap fill is a visual location. It was good for a trade, but there was no volume behind it here. And you are now one timing to the downside. You are making lower lows and lower highs all the way through here. If you will notice, if you simply waited on this until you broke the last swing high in that series, right, that you did not get crunched all day long. That's just a 5-minute chart. It's not a big ask, right? Hey, wait till you get above your last 5-minute swing. I'm giving this to you because this is what I find when I coach people. I will find people that go, hey, I made money for 3 weeks in a row and I gave it all back on a day like this. And this is the danger. Lesson number 2 from this day is that just because we get a nasty down day does not mean we cannot turn back and V-shape around. And my guess is through the course of the year, you're going to have a ton of this. So I'd be very familiar with January 16th and 17th and how to trade it, because then what happens, the next trick in that psychological hat trick, we're about to open. I'm going to obviously run over. I'm sorry I was running late. I'm burning the first half hour anyways. The problem here is they go, we finally have rolled over. That's it. We're going to go to the downside. And then they get V-shaped. If you will look, the other check marks never got checked off in that list. We failed to trade below prior day's low. We failed to hold below the mid of the prior session. All we did was test back in prior day's value area, and then we popped back out the following day. That is your consistent measures. We have to be able to get below prior day's low. So relating that back to today, that means that we are not, you should banish all bearish thoughts from your head unless you see us trade below 69.38 on NQ. It's just a downside rotation. And on ES, we must trade below 28.32 even. Let me file and insert symbol tick. We'll have tick on there when we open. And let me open up my internals. 1 second. So I'll have that for y'all in just a second. And then let's go do NQ really quickly. And Russell's obviously same story. White zones have been awesome on there. I have not taken a single trade in the Russell. All my focus has been on ES and NQ. Need to fix that. Okay. And lastly, let's shrink this down, get this set for the open. No change in Globex high or low. There we go. And spread this out a bit. There we are. Okay, so, and by the way, it hasn't mattered if tick has been neutral, negative, whatever, we've pushed up. So it's hard to get a read off of it right now. Like I said, indicators come and go. This is an indicator like any other. Tick is pretty worthless right now because everything's push up, right? Okay, so let's continue with looking at the last critical area, and very important. If you pop this over to a weekly, right, just to keep everyone's eye on the bigger picture, okay, odds are first time into last week's. So let's see how that was last week's value area high, and we, excuse me, I apologize. That is correct. That is last week's value area high that we launched this rally off of. We have to get below 28.0675, which is this week's low. And then the naked volume point of control from last week is 28.04 to 28.03. At 2800, in that 2800 to 2810 area, expect a big response out of that. We have, and then realize that response back up can be right back up to this week's value area low, which is sitting right at 28.25. Right, and then we begin this ping pong between the 2 points, right? So the first hurdle is to get underneath the weekly point of control from this week, and then test and hold above 28.04, and then we'll start working. We're 50 points away from that. I seriously doubt we get anywhere close today or even tomorrow, given the current environment. But you should have that marked off on your calendar. We have to get below 28.06 and hold underneath to truly be bearish, okay? And until that happens. And 28.25 is your first marker on that from the weekly, from just this week. We have to get below 28.25 and hold underneath. So if we're consolidating underneath 28.25, my guess is 28.08 to 28.03 is the next target, where we'll find another group of bigger picture responsive buyers and sellers, right? Going back to, let me flip that back to the daily. Let me flip this over to NQ. Okay, so obviously risk on. So we can just go through our checklist of what has to happen. Number one, can I trade into the value area? 69.76. If I can't trade into 69.76, there is no short, and I'm going to keep pushing it. That's just how it works. You'll notice every day we simply cannot hold a push into the value area. And even if we trade, we open in the value area, but we immediately got above. You're holding above 69.76, just know you're going to find attempted responses to the upside consistently, right? You're going to have to get underneath that mark, right? So, and we may do it this morning, but you're going to have to get underneath it, right? Number two, you have to get below the point of control, which brings up 6900, 69.69 to 69.73. Expect responsive buyers. We spent a ton of time here. Clearly, we did not spend a ton of time underneath 69.59. This area is where we should start to get slippery. If you'll notice, from a volume build standpoint, from here to here, 69.60 down to 69.14 could get pretty damn slippery there. But that's what has to be done first, is we have to get underneath those levels to make it, right? So what I am looking for is a break. What I will be looking for is if we break below here, right, push up, and I then get pushed underneath my last best buyer on this push back up. On the backside test of that, I will be pushing for that short to test down into 69.14 in areas lower. That is where my home run short will come out of if it sets up, right? Notice I'm not trying to short it out of here, I'm trying to short it from underneath here. That's what is required to make that trade work, right? That's all I have to say on Enki because it keeps going up. I haven't seen any. I've been trading for over 20 years, and I have never seen anything like the move we're having right now, where there's no counter, there's no sell side to the trade. I've never seen anything like it. I have no problem saying it. We're in uncharted territory. Anyone who acts like they know what's going on. However, it is possible a couple of things are going on from a bigger picture, and I want to say this from a larger move. We could have been in from Obama's administration. This is not a political statement. The perception from money managers could have been that Obama was bad for business, the taxes were too high, and they could not get anyone motivated to invest that capital. It could be the tax cuts have motivated companies to use that money aggressively. And so now we're in a position where, yes, we can actually have a significant opportunity to trade. Hold on one second here. We could be in a position to significantly, right, have an opportunity to have a change in course where money managers who had their money on the sideline previously are going to be consistently pumping money in underneath, because we are clearly going through a cycle of raising, right? By the way, we just missed Globex high in both of these. They should have been able to tag it. Just heads up on that. They should have been able to tag that Globex high. I don't know why they couldn't, but they should have been able to go right to it on that push. Very interesting. If we are in a period of raising earning expectations, after we get through this initial cycle, right? So I want to say that again. After we get through this initial cycle where everyone's just pushing money in, there should be a consistent bid underneath, and it should provide very, very good trading going forward on rotations down. Should find very nice fat rotations back to the upside, right? If I were a trader, I'd be looking for the 30-minute one-time framing to end and the 50-60 pullbacks after they end, and I'd be bashing those for big swings. I anticipate a lot of P&L will be coming from that specific setup, okay? And so anyway, that's my 2 cents about that, is that I think that there is a large trading opportunity that'll be coming up. I also think that NQ is due for a nasty down day. I don't have any evidence of that. Just my experience has been that the exit gets narrower and narrower, and that the move down will be very ugly when and if it occurs, because everyone will hit the exit at the same time. It'll be a one-day wonder, and it'll be buyable after that, right? So if we sit patiently, my plan is to burn the first 30 minutes, right? My plan is to burn the first 30 minutes, okay, and then see where we go. I know that I have to get underneath this white zone to really start doing any damage to the downside, and all we're doing is backside testing Tuesday's high, and the market has shown, every time it's shown any inclination to be weak in the morning, people have stepped right in and pushed it right back up. So I have no reason to think that today will be any different. The first step will be getting underneath this first 5-minute low. By the way, internals for people who need them. But the process will be the same. I'm looking to get underneath my best last buyer. The first step was getting underneath Tuesday's high. The next step will be getting underneath value area low, and then getting underneath this point of control. And I clearly and obviously expect them to respond out of this the first time in, right? So advancers versus decliners. 1685 on advancers, 917 on decliners, 1.85 advanced decline ratio. I don't think it makes any difference right now. They're just, people are simply not responding out of that. That is a potential open drive lower, by the way, on NQ, right? So just be aware that we now have to get above this guy to push, okay? And I'm burning the first half hour. I'm not taking the white zone, to be clear, even though I do expect them to respond out of that right out of the gate, would be my guess, right? Because why? That would be pretty perfectly normal, and a 20-point bounce would not be shocking. This is the first time we've actually been able to test a point of control, right? Globex slows all the way down here at 69.55, and you have to anticipate profit taking at some point, but I don't know where that'll come. I know that I've got to get underneath this area to start that process, and letting the first half hour go seems the best way for me to be able to execute that concept or that idea. So that's my plan for today. I'm going to get above or below my last best buyer or seller. I'm going to make sure that I can get above my, right? I have nothing to do, even if I were trading right now. I wanted to trade long. I've got to get above this guy now or let more damage occur lower, one of the two, for a trade to set up for me. I thought this was very telling just now. We should have easily made it to Globex high, and we couldn't. And normally I would have, in any other market, I would have turned short as soon as I saw that, because that is when they both those markets did that simultaneously. Someone stepped in pretty hard on the sell side there. So we'll see if there's any other additional sell. Obviously, what you want to see now is you don't want to see it if you're short. You don't want to see it back above 69.8125. That's the beginning, first check of, hey, how do I get a down day? We're back inside prior day's range. Now you want to see it hold back inside prior day's range, and you want to gauge. Remember, so we're trading now, right? We just had a rotation down. What is that rotation down? Let me switch this over. Right, so this goes to psychological balancing of the information you're getting. Right now we have a high of 69.93 and a low of 69.72. That's a 20-point rotation. So let's go get some quick reference for that, right? Yesterday, did we have a 20-point rotation in the first 30 minutes of the day? We did. We rolled from 69.65 all the way down to 69.38. 30 points of rotation, right? Thank you, Tom. I appreciate it. I'll slow it down. I apologize. Is it better now? Can you see this? Okay. Where did the long launch? When I got above my less best seller, we backside tested into them and they pushed, right? This was 30 down. I could have just patiently waited to get above my best last seller, and then I would have had to go to a smaller chart to find where my point of control was in this bar, which is what we backside tested here, was actually the backside of this seller here. But just because we open up with 20 down, the market's still positive on the day. They haven't flushed it, right? And I just need to wait to get above my best last seller to start working the long side of the trade. And conversely, yesterday where we had the shorts, we got underneath our best last buyer and then forced that short back to the downside, right? So the trade opportunities will be there both long and short today. Let the market play out. And a down 20 open does not mean that all is lost or has gone to, has gone away. This can easily turn back around and we'll be back up 40 or 50 points. And that's why I'm burning the first half hour. Again, the most important model for me today is this one right here, where we get underneath the volume, the point of control, underneath the neighborhood of help to make a run down to the neighborhood below and do some corrective move. This plan, this trade plan. Oh, sorry. How about this? Still can't. Still can be a trend day up. It sure can. The first clue would be, can you get under the first half hour bar? Right. So Daniel, let me answer your question real quick. Daniel asked, where's that? I'm going to fix that. So it can still be a trend day up even with that open. It sure can. You get above that first 5-minute bar and you're now working on a trend day up. Now, it's not a classical open drive higher, right? But as long as you hold above this neighborhood, right, you have the potential for it to come out. All it's doing, so remember the rule, Daniel, you consolidate above prior day's value area, failure to get below that first half hour low, and the answer to that, probably 7 out of 10 times, is that right there. Okay, so it's important to keep that in mind, because otherwise you'll find yourself fighting a battle that's not very easy to win, right? Clearly, here's the point of control right now. The volume point of control is right here. 69.8650 hasn't shifted lower yet, right? So we'll keep an eye on those things. Let's go back and see if there's anything else that'll help us figure out what's going on here. Let's see. This should be like this. So the 24-hour rolling VWAP is at 28.32, right? Let me pull this in a little bit. Well, I don't even have it there. Let's pull this in. The RTA, wait a second here. That is the RTH rolling VWAP is at 28.32. The 24-hour VWAP is down at 28.39. Okay. On NQ, excuse me, I stand corrected. Let me reset. Pull this in. Why is that like that? Not good. Let's kill this. There we go. 68.59, right? 24-hour VWAP on NQ, right? And on the RTH. And again, we're all the way back to where we started this little journey to the downside on NQ, right? Which is not, see what I mean, Daniel? It's just nothing. We just tested it. That's all it means. There's just no downside. I don't have any other way of putting that. There's zero downside, easy downside. Everyone's gonna be willing to step in. So the RTH VWAP is sitting at rolling VWAP is at 68.34. Obviously intraday, after we open after a couple of minutes, that'll quickly change, right? So this is why I'm laying back the first half hour, because you can look at something and go, oh, it's going to really get smashed, and there is no smashing to be had, right? It's just becomes very frustrating. And so I'm very loose mentally. I don't have a prescribed, this is what has to happen, right? Because otherwise I'm going to find myself trying to press a trade that should not in any way, shape, or form be pressed. Obviously, if we get above this 5-minute high, push, right? We've just backside tested into the first 5-minute bar on ES, right? We're backside testing in the first 5-minute bar on NQ. And clearly, if there was any sellers, anyone wanted to bail out, that would have been their opportunity. They couldn't even get to the gap fill. So none of that speaks to a bearish market, unfortunately, right? I'd love a pull down more than anybody else. I would like the market to pull down. It just doesn't seem like it wants to do that. I don't know how else to explain that. And it's too early in the day for me to take a trade. So hopefully that helps, guys. Hold on one second here. You know, Skype has gotten worse and worse. And anyone who's shocked that the market the NQ's come all the way back just hasn't been watching the last couple of days. So anyways, guys, on YouTube, that's my plan. Hold on to your capital. If you can't get long here, fighting the short's very difficult. The only person I know who has a reasonable trade plan for shorting is buying out of the money NDX puts or QQQ puts. And that's not a trading strategy for me, but that's how they're playing it to the short side. And I imagine there'll be a very nice short trade set up somewhere in the next couple of days. But I have no idea when that'll actually, in real life, actually appear, right? So now you have to get below this to even have any continuation to the downside. And obviously, ES is just pushing up. So there's just nothing to do, right? So that's my 2 cents. And I appreciate y'all joining on YouTube. If you liked it, if you could please hit the like button. And if you'd like to visit us in the room, right, I usually don't get warmed up until after 9 a.m. Send me an email to tradingperform@gmail.com. Please, please, please hit that like button. It really helps me out with customer service on YouTube. Anyways, have a wonderful day, guys. I'm going to kill the Google Hangout and YouTube video, but y'all are welcome in the room anytime. Don't understand.